Some games you introduce to your game group and they were like, wow, that game is awesome. And that's what we're doing today. We're looking at 2 games that when I showed my group, they were like, yeah, run it back. Let's play that game again. Hi, my name is Ryan. Welcome to the Board Game Journey, where you will be joining me to play 1,000 games. I'm really excited to show you these next 2 games. Let's go ahead and hop in to the first one. And that game is Wispwood. Now, this game was a little bit of a surprise to me because I didn't really hear much about it. But I saw there was some tile laying elements to it. And then when I looked a little deeper, there was also polyomino tile laying. And you know, it's just one of those games where I feel like I've seen a lot of the ingredients individually, but how they combined it into this game just really made it magical to me. And it was just fun. It was just a fun game. It'd be pretty easy to give you a gist of how this game works. It's pretty simple to understand. That's why I really enjoyed the game. But enough like tactical, maybe potential strategy in here that you can implement to make it still fun for me. Like I think this game is just a satisfying puzzle to kind of think through. To give you a quick, to give you a feel for how a turn goes, I can pick up any of these wisps on my turn. So let's say I went for this pumpkin wisp. Now when I do that, I can choose between the 2 shapes on the left and right of it. I can either put it into an L formation or this little like just 2-block little straight line here. Let's just say I went for the L. So then I need 4 in total. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the trees are like the filler in the game a little bit. You do score them too, but it's just a little bit of a filler. So now I can put this anywhere I want as long as I have the pumpkin in there and it's in that L shape. So it's just like boom, boom, boom. And then it has the kind of orthogonal rule where each time you put something, it has to at least be orthogonal or just touching the side of an existing piece on your board already. One thing to note, you don't refill the board. As players take it, the board just gets smaller and smaller options. And there is ways to refill, which we'll get to maybe at the end. Now, why you choose a wisp and how you place it depends on the scoring cards you use in that game. The game comes with a bunch of different scoring cards in each different color wisp. So you gotta choose the one you want to play for that game. I just chose the easy ones. They have like little paw prints. If they have a single paw print, it's a little bit easier. If they have a double paw print, it's a little bit more, more maybe abstract in thinking. So just to keep it simple, went with the single paw. For instance, the trees do score, and then I'm playing in the one grove to rule them all, right? So at the end, after round 1, I'm making a 4x4 grid. Round 2, I make a 5x5 grid. And round 3, I make a 6x6 grid. Now you're thinking, do you start over? You don't. The grids kind of build on themselves, but maybe not the way you're thinking. We'll get to that in a second. So in this case, after I get my 4x4 grid on here, I add up my biggest connected group of trees, and I get 1 point per each. That's pretty simple. The pumpkin, on the other hand, at least the one I picked, this pumpkin doesn't want to be near any other pumpkins. So the 8 different spots around it, so basically all the orthogonal plus the diagonals, I can't have any other pumpkins touching it, otherwise it doesn't score. So it's kind of like a set collecting in a way, where if I get 1, I get 4 points. If I get 4 pumpkins on my board, I'll get 22 points. And if I get 5, I get 30, right? So, and it does add on itself. So if I get like 2 this round and 1 next round and 2 more next round, I will score at the end of each round. So we'll just do 1 more. I'll just say I took this one and I just need 2 more to go with it. And let's just put this one here, here, and here. And I'll go ahead and fast forward to the end so you can kind of see how the scoring works. You notice the board's not completely complete. The snap only got to this part because I wanted to show you one thing I thought was kind of interesting. You do have these little cat figurines on your board. And essentially when they're facing the cat, so you see the whole cat, it has special power. When it's turned over and it's like hiding in a tree, which is freaking adorable. Thanks for doing this, CJ. You guys are awesome. So this gives you like a power. It lets you do 2 things. It lets you like wipe the board and kind of get 8 new wisps on the board. Pretty straightforward. Or it lets you do what I'm about to do right now. Because nothing will fit here except for this shape here, which is there's no wisp. I can't add a wisp, right? I can, just so you know, on your turn, you can always take 1 to 3 trees and kind of fill out the board wherever you want, and it resets your cat. So in this case, I can actually turn the cat over. I can get, say, the pumpkin. This will give me some good points. Now, I can't use these shapes, but with the cat power, I can then take any shape I want. So then I can just go ahead and take 1 extra one, put the pumpkin here, and now I finish my 4x4 grid, and let's get to how the rest of it works. So once someone finishes a 4x4 grid, everyone finishes their equal turns, and then we score. You do get a bonus point if you do finish your grid between rounds. So I would get 2 points for this one, I get 4 points for the next 5x5, and I get a 6-point bonus for my 6x6. So if you can finish it, some good points to be had. Now, of course, you can score it manually. Each card has obviously the criteria, in which we did do that last night. But then I also realized they have an app. Now, I'm not one to use electronics in board games, right? But I'm not against them if they're scoring my game. So I do think it's important to learn how it works, obviously, to play the game. But once you know that, this app is freaking awesome. So for instance, I want to score round 1. I could just hit this, I hold my phone up, it immediately gets it, and that's it. And now I know I got 30 points. And it also lists out the cards, because I basically say what cards I'm using. And now it lists out here the score for my round. And now I just go to score round 2, and you're good to go. You can score things so fast. This is the only thing I was maybe nervous about. This is before I knew the app. I said, okay, because games like this, typically, my mother-in-law and some of them, they know how, but they always get a little twisted up with the scoring. So I end up scoring everyone's score, which sometimes fatigues me out. But with this app, oh man, all those worries are gone. I just go boop, 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 and I put them in. I have a little app I use. I use BG Stats. So I just quickly type them in, and I'm good to go. On to the interesting part I wanted to tell you about. So at this point, typically, I would think the game, you just wipe it, and now you start over, and you do a 5x5 grid for round 2. No, this is where it gets a little different, because you only take away the trees. So everything stays, just the trees go away, right? So it kind of leaves you in this kind of like precarious way. This is all by itself up here in the corner, right? So now I would start round 2, still building a 5x5 grid, but now I need to work around these kind of like pillars, right? These are permanently there. And I'll still be adding wisp to this. And you can see, because each score, you're going to score more and more points, which is another thing I really love. I love when games do that when you build on it. Like the first score, I was like 30. The next one's going to be like, 60 to 90. And then your last one is like 130. So then your total score, I think our total scores last night were like 200 something, like 220, 230, something like that. So it is satisfying to see your scores keep going up. I've seen games when you start over, maybe you're at 30 and then 35 and 40. Yeah, it's fine, but it just feels mentally cool to be like 30, 90, 120. Maybe it's just me, but I love it. So that's it. You would then fill this for a 5x5, you would clear the trees out, and then you would do one more 6x6, final score, game's over, right? And there's a lot of little things in here about like when do you go for the trees only? When do you use your cat action? I found myself only using the cat maybe like once per round, because like taking tempo out of your play to go get trees to reset the cat, because it's the only way you reset it. You don't reset between rounds. Like even the board doesn't reset between rounds. If there's 3 things here at the end, round 2, there's 3 things there. So, and the first player just move. You can reset the board in a few ways. You can use your cat to reset it, as I said earlier. The other way is if there's just a bunch of repeats. So if it was my turn and there was just 2 greens on there, or 3 greens, or just 2 oranges, whatever, basically the same thing, you can then do like a free wipe. You don't have to use your cat power. So right now I can either take one of those if I really needed it, or I can just say, hey, wipe those, 8 new ones. And those that are wondering, I only put out a few of these wisp and trees. There's a lot more in the box. It's just almost unruly to have them all out on video. And for those who want to see it, yeah, here you go. A lot more. So unlike Wispwood, Tenby is a game I did hear a lot of people talk about. I heard a lot of grumblings in the YouTube and different reviewers talking about it. So I was excited to pick it up, and I kept looking for see when I could finally get it here in United States. So picked it up, and I remember it came in. I had my buddy come over to play some games that day. And it came in like an hour before he came over. And I was like, can I learn this game in an hour? So sure enough, whipped it out, quickly read through all the rules, and I just got it in my head. Just I think he was walking in as I was just finishing up the last bit of text. So it was definitely a little bit more impromptu game where I was like, had to refer to the rules a few times, but nothing crazy. But it's just a magical card game. In this game, you're like laying out cards. Like it's one of those games where you put a card down, you can put a card either left or right. And then there's some other things you can do to maybe insert cards, but those are like, obviously additional powers that you have to like earn things to get to it. But ultimately, it's just a satisfying game. I really, really enjoy it. But let me show you how it works, and let's just hop on in. The reason I think Tenby went over really well for me is it combines a lot of mechanics I really enjoy. For instance, how you pick your resources. So these are like the resource cards in the game. So if I was going first, I can choose any of these 3 cards and then give me various different resources. But you notice that these numbers are numbered 2, 6, 12. Well, they're all numbered, and you always put them in from lowest to highest. Because if I was to go here, the last card in this case, I would then go second next time. But if I was to go here, I'm guaranteed to go first next round. And I love games that do that. I've seen this in like Kingdomo and various other games as well. But I just it really enjoys the mechanic because it just adds a little bit of tension that just kind of makes you go, do I go first? Do I go second? Oh, what do I do? Now, I should say this is set up for a 2-player game. So this is what you're seeing here. Obviously, there's just more cards and more stuff here and more player count. So the main game, you're trying to build out your street. So you start with your starting house here. And each card you add has to either go to the left or to the right every time you add it to your little line tableau here. So for instance, if I chose this card here and put it down, well, it's gonna score me 3 points for if there's a blue building on the right and left of it. So in this case, I scored 3 points here. If I can get a blue building here, then I'll score another 3 points. How these cards work is white arrows is always left and right. If you see these like double black arrows, then it's gonna be like 2 buildings to the right, 2 buildings to the left. So it's like 4 buildings it's taken into account for. And if you ever see one like this, then like just like a yellow arrow, that means the entire line. So if I have like 10 cars laid out, this landmark will account for scoring across everything. And without going into too many details, you're just trying to get the right buildings to line up in the right spot so you're maximizing the score on each individual card. That high-level summary might sound similar to other games, but we'll just go into a little bit of detail so you can get a feel for why this game was special to me. It does have in-game scoring objectives, so these are, only one person can win it. In this case, this one says whoever has the most homes in their town will get 10 points. Whoever has the longest street will get 10 points. And this one has the most businesses will get 10 points. So I like games like this too, because you have like a goal that you're trying to work towards. Usually I'll try to go for 2 of the 3. I'll try to max them. I'll see what they're going for, and I'll try to go for like 2 they're not really going for. And typically, I find with 3, usually you can get 1 that they're just not trying for, and maybe you just got to beat them in 1, and you give them the other one. Hey, if I'm up 10 points, they get 10, I get 20, I'm doing all right. You also have personal scoring objectives. So similar to these are ones you're just trying to do on your own. Like this one says like, oh, if I can have 2 red buildings in the same street. So if I have at least 2 red buildings for every single street, because you can have more than one street. You can have 1 street, you can have 2 streets, 3 streets. You can have more. So each street I have built out with at least 2 red buildings, I'll score additional points. These cards are filled with little icons like the type of arches around the door, the street lamps, the trash can, the flowers in the windows, the number of windows, pigeons, like all the different icons of that are probably somehow involved in the score. I'll give you a quick feel for how a turn goes. So let's just say I went there and they went somewhere else, right? Now they would go first, so they have first choice of the cards, which is a factor because they can sometimes take cards that you want. But let's just say I'll just go to show you. On this card, you'll notice the icons relate to the backs of these cards. That's what you can take, right? So in this case, I can take a pink personal goal, which I'll probably do that first to see kind of what I'm going for. So in this case, there is a most homes goal, and this one says, oh, if I have at least so many homes in a single street. So that kind of, I like when goals, my personal goals relate to the game goals. Typically it makes it easier to score max points. So I'll probably go for that one. So that checks off that box. Now I can pick up one of these pier cars and I can pick up one of these houses cars. Now you're not limited to that. Like for instance, the house, I have to take a house, but the pier, I can either take the pier or I can take one of these house cards. You can always go up. You never can go down, right? So in this case, we'll just say I took that one I mentioned earlier where I get 3 points for a blue house here. So maybe I'll try to find a blue house here. Now the pier ones, I really can't add to my board yet because the pictures have to line up. For instance, I can't put this here because there's no water there. Now on some of these houses, like for instance, like this one, you'll notice if I put that there, there's a little bit of water here. So then I could then line that up. That's one thing you have to be careful about. Each card has to logically flow into the next card. So since I can't really pick up pier cards, I'll just pick up one of these cards. I'll just choose this one for now. So this one's gonna score 2 cards, these 2 cards, plus the 2 cards I put here, right? And this will score 3 points for each archway around the door. So this one doesn't have one, but this one does. So I get 3 points for that one. So if I can at least find maybe 2, house or any kind of thing that goes here, that at least archways on it, I'll score additional points there. And that's it. I grabbed, instead of a pier card, I grabbed a house, I grabbed another house card, and then I grabbed my little personal thing. And that's it, that's a turn. And now since I went last, I would go second next turn. He does his turn, he would go first. We reset the cards, rinse and repeat. In the day, I think you'll end up having like a long street, maybe 2 streets. I think when I played, I think 3 was really the max streets they have. You're gonna play 10 rounds, you don't have all day, because you do have to finish streets to max points. What I mean by finish, you'll notice that some of these cards have little check marks on them. That means that you're at the end of the street. Like usually at the end. So if I have this here and this was logically fit there somehow, if I have a check mark here and a check mark here, that means that street's complete. That only really comes out with like a lot of these personal goals. Like for instance, this one says like, I get 12 points if the street's complete. I only get 6 points if it's not. So there is a big gap in points. So finishing streets does pay off. So the last thing I'll say is you do have this currency in this game with these buoys here. They let you take these actions on your turn. You can take as many as you want as long as you have enough buoys to pay the cost. So to give you a feel for some things you can do, like I could pay 2 of them, and I can get an extra house card. Or I could reveal another card to see what it is. That way I can see if I want to take it or not. I could maybe take a pier card, or I could take a landmark. Landmarks are definitely high scorers in this game. Since they do all score the entire street, a lot of times if you can get that lined up to something you're doing well at, you'll score a lot of points. So that is a high-level overview of Tenby. Great game, love it, can't wait to play it more. So boom, that is Wispwood and Tenby. So which one are you guys reaching for first? You know, let me know down in the comments. Did any of this game kind of get your attention? Like, you know, have you heard of them? Hey, I mean, maybe these games are pretty new, so maybe you guys haven't heard of them yet, or maybe haven't really seen how they look on the table or how they play. I'll be curious to see what your guys' initial thoughts are. So thank you again for watching this video. I love it, you know, obviously comment, subscribe, like, all the good stuff, and share it if you can. The more you guys get the videos out there, the better it helps me. I've seen you guys have been really showing up, and I really do appreciate that. So thank you very much for that. Until the next video, take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye.